So first and foremost, we're going to kind of talk about what is a Sloan MBA, and then we'll talk about this specific program for deferred admission. And then we're going to talk about the application process, go into the nitty-gritty of the components and what you need to submit your application. So, what is an MBA? The Master of Business Administration is an opportunity for you to kind of improve your leadership skills. It's a great way to enhance your knowledge, your network. It's a really large group of a global network with lots of different industry perspectives. It's a 2-year program here at Sloan. It's full time and it's all in person. So this program is really designed for you to apply now, get some full-time work experience, and then transition back into the academic setting for 2 years within the MBA, and really kind of hone your skills, maybe pivot industries, depending on what your career goals are. So if you get a Sloan MBA, you will gain that intersection between business and technology. Being MIT's business school really kind of sets us aside from other business schools, globally, just because we have that technology side of things. You'll be able to develop your leadership skills and really kind of take your career to that next level, or again, as I mentioned before, pivot into a completely different industry. Entrepreneurship is something that's kind of built into the ecosystem here at MIT Sloan. And so for that reason, a lot of our students and alums pursue a startup, whether they're building their own startup, kind of starting something from scratch, or if they're joining a smaller company or startup and helping to scale that after their graduation. Those are things that we're often seeing our alums doing. And of course, you become part of this incredible professional network. We have alums from MIT Sloan all across the globe. And then when you think about the greater network within MIT, it's humongous. And so you would be able to kind of tap into that, get connections with a number of people in different industries, different functional areas. And then, while you're here at MIT, there's a lot to offer on campus. We have our unique 1-semester core, where your first semester of the MBA program, which starts in the fall, you take all classes together with the same group of people. And then after that, you really have a fully flexible curriculum to deep dive into whatever area is most interesting to you. You'll have those 3 semesters of electives, and you'll have a lot of opportunities to do an action learning lab or many action learning labs, which are experiential learning opportunities where you work with real companies in the real world and work on their problems that they're trying to solve in the business world. And it's a really great opportunity for you to get that hands-on learning experience that you can, get transferable skills to carry with you throughout your career. So as I mentioned, the MBA early admission is our deferred admission process here at Sloan. It's open to college seniors and graduate students who do not have full-time work experience. I'm going to talk about specific eligibility requirements in just a few minutes, but it's designed, again, for you to go back graduate from your program right now, go into the work field, get some experience for between 2 and 5 years, and then come back and get your MBA. So this is basically the timeline for this coming year. So you would be submitting your application on April 18th of this month, and then we will review all of the applications that come in. We will then invite a subset of applicants to an interview. It's a 30-minute virtual interview that will take place in May. And then after that, you get your final decisions in mid-June. And you'll have the summer to kind of connect with our community. We'll have a number of admin events if you are admitted to the program. And then you'll have to let us know by August 1st if you're going to accept that offer. Then again, that's the deferral period. Hopefully you'll be starting your job in the fall. And during that period, you can engage with us in a number of different ways, whether or not that's, some virtual events that we will be hosting or some in-person events that we host for the MBA early community throughout the year. So you'll get lots of emails from us just letting you know kind of where we are, if we're in your area, or if we're having an event on Zoom that you can participate in. So after you've worked for 2 to 5 years and you decide it's the right time to begin your MBA, you'll confirm your eligibility with the admissions team. And these are all processes that we'll walk you through, but essentially you would submit an updated application. While it's called an application, it's not evaluative in any form. It's really just to confirm that you've had that full-time work experience and then letting us know that you intend to matriculate the following fall. And then you join the MBA cohort. cohort. So this coming fall, we have a number of MBA early candidates that were admitted between 2 and 5 years ago that will be joining the MBA class. And hopefully everyone on here today will be that next group within the next 2 to 5 years from now. So the benefits of this program are really immense, honestly. It's a 5-year plan. So you know if you're admitted to this program that MIT Sloan and an MBA is in your future. And it's a guaranteed spot in that future class. There's no application fee for MBA early, so you're not putting out any money at this point. Whereas if you apply to the MBA in the future, you will have an application fee. And you're getting the test requirement over with now. This is a really big benefit since you're currently in academia, you're currently, used to taking tests. Sometimes when you've been out of school for a little bit of time, it can be a lot to take a test or find time to take that GMAT or the GRE. But right now, you're used to it. You're used to sitting for those exams, and so you can get that done quickly and probably more effectively than you would be able to in a few years. And then also, you're part of this really great community. You're already going to be part of the MIT Sloan community and be able to connect with others, both other MBA early admits as well as MBA students and MIT graduates over the next couple years. So as I mentioned, the application is going to be April 18th for this year's cycle. And we evaluate every single application that comes in, and we don't do that until after the deadline. So April 18th is a Friday this year. All of your application materials must be submitted by 3 p.m. Eastern on that day. And that includes your letters of recommendation. So every single part of your application must be submitted. And then starting that afternoon, we will start looking at those applications and getting them read so that we can send out those interview invites in late April, early May. So who's eligible? I'm putting this on the screen so everyone can kind of see and read through eligibility. I know there's a lot of kind of nuanced situations, some kind of gray areas. Sometimes people have questions. Am I eligible? Am I not eligible? I'd really, really encourage you to please send your specific questions on eligibility to our email, which I'm going to be sharing on the last slide, so that we can kind of go back and forth on what if there's any questions or any confusion, and we can let you know whether or not you're eligible to apply for early or if you're better to apply just to the MBA program directly when you're ready to matriculate. But just to kind of go over the general eligibility requirements. If you are in undergrad, you must be in your final year of undergraduate studies and you intend to graduate by September of 2025. So you're going to get your degree by September of 2025. So it's anyone that graduated from last August through September, and you don't intend to enroll in any graduate program immediately after, and you have no prior full-time work experience. So if you do have full-time prior work experience, you're not going to be eligible to apply for MBA early. You will, however, be able to apply directly to the MBA program in the time that, at the end of the year that you want to matriculate to the program. With regards to graduate students, it's very similar. If you're graduating from your graduate program by September 2025 of this year, or you graduated between August 2024 and September of this year, you can absolutely apply so long as you do not have any prior work experience. So if you did work in between undergrad and grad school, you would not be eligible. And again, you would want to just apply directly to the MBA program within the year that you want to matriculate. The exception to this is any current Sloan Masters of Finance or Business Analytics students are welcome to apply to the MBA early program. So again, if you have questions on your specific eligibility, please send us an email and we're happy to walk through that with you. So what's being evaluated during the admissions process? We're really looking to see a number of competencies or what are attributes that make successful Sloan students. And these are the exact same attributes that are being assessed in MBA applications. However, it's a little bit different in the sense that you don't already have full-time work experience. So we're looking at what was your internship experience like in undergrad? How have you worked with others in the classroom setting? How have you problem solved and communicated, and how do you gain buy-in? So we're really curious about kind of that teamwork that you're doing, telling us a little bit more about the impact that you have had in the experiences that you've had to date. So again, those are the academics, like classroom work, as well as internship or any kind of work experience that's been associated with your undergraduate. So I like to put this up. These numbers don't necessarily correlate to the exact scoring system that we use. However, it's just a visual to show you that when we're scoring on demonstrated success competencies or attributes and personal attributes, we actually score them and then we plot them on this XY axis. And it's really these people that fall within the upper quadrant that are invited to move to the next step into the interview. And then from there, you're assessed again on these same attributes during the interview, plotted again, and then it's that upper quadrant that gets moved to an admitted group for the MBA early program, as well as all of our programs. So I want to jump right into what is part of the application. Like, what do you need to put together this application? And hopefully, many of you on today are familiar with this and have already started to look at this with the deadline approaching in a few weeks. But the first thing is our cover letter. We do not have a traditional essay here at Sloan as part of our application. And so instead, we have this cover letter. It's 300 words seeking a place in a future MIT Sloan MBA class. And we wanted to conform to standard business letters. It's a really an opportunity for you to tell us, why are you a good fit for Sloan and why is Sloan a good fit for you? So kind of thinking about the people that we're looking for, we're really looking for thoughtful leaders that have this the opportunity to drive and put their stamp on the world. And so we want you to tell us, how are you going to go about doing that using examples from your past? So using those examples from your undergraduate studies, your graduate studies, as well as any of those internships. So just a couple quick tips here. You really want to think about highlighting a few unique strengths and sell yourself. Using recent examples is certainly better than going back to your high school days or before. We want to hear about more recent examples. And don't forget to tell us why MIT Sloan is the right place for you. What do we have here that's going to help kind of foster your growth and what you're hoping to do with your career in the long run? Next is the resume. So the resume is a one-page document, and we suggest using Times New Roman size 10 font, and we are looking for this to be a really standard format. We are asking you to avoid any designs or colors that make it difficult for us to read. The most important thing with the resume is that we can get to the information that we're looking at, or we're looking for, excuse me, which is education, work experience, and any additional information that you want to share with us. In this additional information, I would definitely include all of your extracurricular activities, volunteer work, any team sports that you're doing, leadership positions, any certificates that you have. You want to be really thoughtful about putting together your resume and saying to yourself, does this convey who I am? Does this convey my story? And within the resume, I would certainly highlight and use your space wisely to highlight your quantifiable accomplishments. We really want to see your impact. So, for instance, if you had an internship at a consulting firm, or if you had an internship at something in finance or whatever it might be, definitely use the space underneath that within the resume to tell us what you worked on and what you accomplished while you were there. If in addition to that, you were also working as a lifeguard or as a waitress, you can certainly list that on your resume, but you do not need to go into detail on what you did there, because that's not really something that we need additional details on. We want to see what that the professional experience that you've had and what the goals are of that particular role. So again, it's a one-page document. This also goes for the cover letter and every component of the application. We are very thoughtful about putting together the instructions. And so with that, I would say do not follow the instructions. So 300 words for the cover letter, one-page document for the resume. Those are very important rules to follow. So there are two questions that are in video components as part of the application. The first question is a 1-minute video that you film yourself, 60 seconds. You want to do it in one take. And we're asking you to introduce yourself to your future classmates. So while your future classmates will never see this video, and just the admissions committee will see it, we want to hear what you would say as, think about it as your elevator pitch to your future classmates, your future colleagues. There should not be any subtitles. You should be speaking directly to the camera, no background music, just a quick video. It does not need to be, movie quality. We're not looking for Hollywood's, next videographer here. We're just looking to assess your fit with MIT Sloan and get some more information about your personality and presence. Using your judgment, this is still your application to business school. So you want to use some professional judgment on what you're wearing, what you're saying, how you're appearing. And then just be aware of your surroundings. Sometimes we get videos where folks are filming it outside, or we've seen ones where people are skiing at the top of mountains and it's very windy or there's traffic and we cannot hear the content of the video. So just keep that in mind. Listen back to the video before you upload it. And we want to make sure that we can understand exactly what you're saying. And so this video question, you have the opportunity to, practice it and take and do one take so that you can upload it. The second video question, however, is not an upload. So excuse me, you aren't able to practice this. This is more of a immediately prompted response within the application. It does appear as part of the application. Once you've filled out about 80% of the application overall, you'll see on the left-hand side, it will pop up as video question 2. It's a short answer, open-ended question. It's randomly generated and no prior preparation is needed. You'll be given a few seconds to kind of think about what your response will be, and then the camera turns on. I know that sounds a little scary. There is a test run before us to make sure your camera and your mic are working. And so you want to make sure that you're in a setting where you can absolutely respond to this question, and you'll have 60 seconds before the camera turns off, and then that's loaded. So there's no pre-recorded video for this question. The webcam will just be activated within the application once you enter that part of the application. And it is not possible to retake it. So again, be conscious of your surroundings and what's going on for that 1 minute while you're working on that part of the application. But the questions, again, no prior preparation. Oftentimes it's questions like, let me think of an example. Tell me about a time that one of your teammates disappointed you. That's one of the questions. And we have hundreds of questions like that. And so you just can think of what comes to your head and kind of convey that within the 60 seconds. So next up are letters of recommendation. So you need to submit 2 letters of recommendation from people that know you well. In an ideal world, this is one from a professional source and one from an academic source. So if you have an internship supervisor who can talk about, how you did at the internship, you should ask them to write the letter of recommendation. And the second letter should come from a professor or someone that can speak to your academic ability. These 3 questions that you see in the light blue square are good questions to ask yourself when you're thinking about who am I going to ask to write my letter of recommendation. Read these questions. Who can answer these questions most detailed, most effectively, and most favorably? And then those are the folks that you're going to want to write your letter of recommendations. Just from a timing standpoint, if you have not already reached out to your recommenders, I recommend doing that as soon as possible because the 18th is coming very quickly, and we want to make sure that all of those application materials are submitted by 3 p.m. Eastern time on that day. So definitely recommend getting in contact with them. In order for them to submit their letter of recommendation, you have to go into the MBA early application. You need to put in their contact information, and then our system will send them an email with a link to upload their letter. You cannot do it for them, nor should you. It's also very important and probably goes without saying, but you should not be writing their letter for you either. This should be an authentic letter of recommendation that's coming directly from the source. So transcripts, we are looking for your transcripts to be uploaded as part of the application. For the application itself, your unofficial transcripts are okay. But do keep in mind if you have any grades or any classes that are at other institutions than than where you're going to be graduating from, you need to get all of those transcripts and upload them to the application. So Let's say you took a summer class. Let's say you did a study abroad. You need transcripts from all of those various places. So sometimes this can be a little bit of stuff to gather. So want to make sure that you're getting that put together. You will only need to get your official transcript if you're admitted and you accept part of the program, and you're going to matriculate. We'll walk you through what we call our verification process at that time. When you're uploading your transcripts, please make sure that they are legible. If you cannot read it, we cannot read it. Once you upload it, if it's really minuscule and you can't see it at all, you need to think of, make a way to scan it in or upload it so that we can see it. If your transcript is not in English, you are required to get a certified translation of it in English and have both the certified translation as well as the not original, but not necessarily official transcript uploaded to the application. Test scores. The GMAT and the GRE are a required component to the MBA early application. We have absolutely no preference on what you take, whether it's the old GMAT format, which if you have an old GMAT score that's still valid for 5 years, we can absolutely take that. If you took the GMAT Focus, please submit that, or the GRE. We take in person or online. And again, there's no preference to any of those formats where we take it all. If you have taken the test several times, you can submit all the scores that you've had, but do not super score. So by super score, I mean if you got a high quant in one test and a high verbal in another test, you cannot put those together to put your score. Your scorings need to match exactly what you got on each test that you took. And we can look at that breakdown. If you got high on quant one time and high on verbal another time, we'll see all of that, but do not merge those two together to make a super score for yourself. So this is the final component to the application, which is our short answer question. This is really an opportunity for you to share more details about yourself, and an opportunity to tell us more about, where you came from. So the question is, how has the world you come from shaped who you are today? And then it says, for example, your family, culture, community all help to shape aspects of your life, experiences, and perspective. And so within the short answer question, we're really looking for you to highlight, how have you become the person you are, right? And so that might come from a number of different aspects of your life. And we're excited to learn a little bit more about you and read what you can share with us during this short answer question. I will say that this space should only be used to answer this question. Please do not use this space to talk about anything else or any concerns with your application. We have a lot of areas within the application built in to address any concerns that you might have. A lot of people are looking to talk about academic concerns or test score concerns. Utilize the text box that do appear within the application as you're going through it to share those details with us. So if there's something about your GPA that you want to share, you absolutely can fill out. There is a text box that appears that says, is there anything that you want to tell us about your academic history? And similarly with the test scores. If for whatever reason you are still not able to put in materials that or not materials, excuse me, if you are not able to explain something on your application that you really wanted to be explained to the admissions committee, you can always send us an email that we can add to your application, but do not use this area to explain that. So the biggest and final tip that I have for you is really to be yourself. The goal is to get to know you as much as possible. We want to know about what your strengths are. We want to know what you're excited about and your passions are. And just think about kind of putting together the application as a whole. You want to be complementary of the different components to the application while not being duplicative. So while there's not that many components to our application, you want to think about how they're all being put together and if asking yourself, does this convey the real me? So again, here is the checklist, that cover letter we talked about, the resume, the 2 videos, 2 recommendation letters, all of your academic records, test score, short answer question, and then again, the best part, no application fee, right? So you're not putting any money down to apply to this program. And then you need to submit by April 18th. And if you are invited to interview, you'll find that out at the end of the month, beginning of May. And then your interview will take place in May. And then at the bottom here is the email address that I said if you have questions that we weren't able to answer today or about your eligibility, please feel free to send us a question and we can answer those here. But I would invite my colleagues to come on now and if there's any questions that were asked in the chat, and I'm happy to answer those.
Great, thank you so much, Alexis. We do have a few questions here about test scores. So first, I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about the weight of the GMAT or GRE test.
Yeah, great question. So our entire application is not weighted. So when you're looking at this here, this list, we don't have certain percentages that we're putting on each component. So we really are taking that holistic approach to the application review. So, if your undergraduate studies or your undergraduate GPA is not as strong, or if your test score is not as strong, there are other ways to make up for that within the application. Simply just, showing us your strengths in other areas. We definitely recognize that some people are not good test takers, but you want to make sure that the rest of the application is really showing your strengths and your impact there.
Great, that's helpful. And we also have a few people here who have just recently found out about this, so they're working on putting their applications together. And so if we do have students who are taking the GMAT or GRE in the next week or two, if they have, almost the complete scores, how would you suggest they fill out the test score section?
Yes. So the test score section is self-reported. So you actually will be able to tell us your score, hopefully the same day as your test, you get your score. So you could submit that at that point. In the event that you are taking the test, let's say, on the 18th or the 19th or whatever it might be, you could submit the application and then email us with the test scores. Just put in the date that you're intending to take it. Even if you want to, or if you were taking it on, like, let's say the 20th or the 21st, which is a couple days after the deadline, that's fine, and then you just need to email us the score. However, I just keep in mind that because we start reviewing applications on the 18th, in the event that your application is read first or in that first bunch within those first few days, we are not going to go back and re-review it. So it is in your best interest to get us that test score as soon as possible. Otherwise, we're reviewing your application as an incomplete application.
Great, that's helpful. We also seem to have a number of entrepreneurs. So, for those of you here in that category, welcome. Can you give any specific advice to those who have started a venture, who are working and motivated in this entrepreneurial space?
Yeah, we love our entrepreneurs, especially MIT Sloan. As I said, entrepreneurship is kind of built into the entire ecosystem here. And so we're excited that you're excited about entrepreneurship and that that's something that you want to pursue over the next few years. You need to kind of convey to us what it is that your plan is. Like, are you already working on a startup? Are you far along in the startup? Is it just in like the ideation phase? Kind of, you'll want to really showcase where you are at that point. And then, in the interview, if you are moved on along to interview, there'll be a lot of questions about like what does your venture look like, and what will that look like when you go to get an MBA. We do want to understand kind of how you'll spend your time during those 2 to 5 years. You're definitely not required by any means to have a job at this point. We're not looking for that. It's just more understanding like what is the scope of this job? What is the scope of this business that you're trying to launch? Who else is involved? And I would just make sure that you're trying to showcase as much as you can on the seriousness and scope of it within the application.
Yeah, that's great. That's really helpful. And for the students who are wondering about, do they need to have a formal job offer post grad to apply to this program? How would you answer that question?
Answer is definitely not. There is a section on the application that does ask you, do you have a job offer or are you like in interview phases? Again, we're looking for folks that are going to have professional experience for 2 to 5 years. And so we want to understand where you are within your job search, keeping in mind that your senior year or your graduate program is coming to an end soon. So how are you thinking about approaching that job search? We are also very well aware of the current economy and how job searching is going for a lot of people right now. So again, not necessary that you have that you have a job already lined up, but you can definitely detail for us how you're going about your job search hunt.
Okay, great. And can you share a little more about LGO and what that would look like for a student interested in applying to MBA early?
Yes. So LGO is our joint dual degree program with, we have 9 engineering departments. So you can get both an MS in one of the engineering departments as well as an MBA from Sloan. It's a 2-year program. It starts in June as opposed to end of August, beginning of September. But you do both programs. So essentially you would start in June. You have a first semester within the summer month of LGO specific classes, and then you transition into that one semester core MBA class with other incoming MBAs. And then you have an entire 2 years that you're doing both engineering classes as well as Sloan classes. And you also are doing an internship with one of the LGO partner companies. We could talk about LGO for an entire session as it is, but that's just kind of high level what LGO is. If it's something that you're thinking about or something you become interested in within your 2 to 5 year deferral period, we give you the opportunity to apply to LGO in the year that you want to matriculate. And so we'll walk you through that process. I can tell you what it looks like today for those folks that are applying, but it could change, right? So the year that you want to come, we will tell you this is what you need to do. But high level, you'll need to think about some additional letters of recommendation to talk about your technical skills. So if you're going into a technical field, kind of be thinking about, oh, could this person be writing my letter of recommendation for LGO? And then you need to do a statement of purpose for LGO as well. There might be other little updates like updating your resume and things of that nature. And then the engineering department will consider you for admission to LGO. If you're admitted to LGO, you're already admitted on the MBA side, so you're good to go. And then we'll get you moved over to LGO in that year. LGO is looking for more like 3 years of full-time work experience on the minimum versus 2 for the MBA. So again, the average for both programs is 5 years of full-time work experience before joining. So LGO, you really want to be in that 3 to 5 years if you're thinking about it.
Perfect, thank you. And I'm wondering if you can clarify a little bit about how we think about the relevant coursework that's listed. And then one specific question is if a student has multiple potential course options for a specific category, how do you recommend they go about that?
Awesome. So the relevant coursework section aligns with the core curriculum. So that we're just curious kind of what classes have you already taken that align with that. It is not a prerequisite and it is not a requirement. In the event that we were concerned about your ability to handle the quantitative rigor of the classroom, we may ask you to take like a preparatory class such as MBA math prior to joining the program. However, we're looking at that just as a quick snapshot of what have you taken in undergrad, but we're also digging into your transcripts quite a bit. And so with that being said, you can kind of choose the class that most aligns with the class with that program. So if you've taken Calc 1, Calc 2, Calc 3, you can put just one of them. I do believe you can actually add up to 3 classes for each of them. So you could technically continue to add them. But again, we will see it on your transcript if you've taken more quantitative coursework.
That's great, thank you. And just to go a little bit further for the quantitative coursework, if we have students here that have an arts background, how would you recommend that they showcase their readiness for the program?
Yeah, that's a great question. So oftentimes it can be through professional experience or, their internship experience. If they have done technical internships, definitely showcasing that on the resume. The other thing they could do is any additional non-degree coursework. So if you've taken any, Coursera courses or edX courses, or as I mentioned before, MBA math, I would definitely include all of those in the relevant coursework section under non-degree courses.
Okay, that's great. I think we're getting through a lot of these questions.
Great.
Um, any just clarifications for high school coursework and if that should be included in relevant courses?
Yes, so you can include AP coursework as part of that. So if you took a class in high school that counted towards, you got advanced placement credit on your college transcript, you can include that in the relevant coursework section. You'll just write AP for the grade, but will need to see that on the transcript. So don't put that you took something in high school that we don't also already see on your college transcript. It all needs to kind of match together.
Okay, that's really helpful, Alexis. Thank you. It looks like we're getting through a lot of the application questions
Okay.
here. I just see a few questions about, what is expected in terms of the type of work experience that students get in the deferral period. So maybe we can just close with a little bit about, we have some people here that are thinking about working for their family business, students that are thinking about starting their own venture. So for MIT
Yeah.
Sloan, what do we look for the work experience?
Yep, absolutely. So it's a great question. So we want you to pursue your passion. So we certainly do not want you to take this 2 to 5 years to do what you think that we want you to do, right? So I would suggest looking at our class profile for the MBA class. Maybe when someone in the background can just drop our current MBA class profile into the chat so everyone has access to it. And look at those industries, look at those functions of what folks coming into the MBA program are doing prior to their pre-MBA industry and function. I'm not saying that that has to be your path. You'll see that there's other for everyone, but it should give you a better sense of like who is the company that you'll be sitting next to, when you join the MBA program. Certainly, if you're joining your family company, family business, we encourage that. We have a number of students that are doing that, and it's just getting that impact and that experience that will allow you to actively contribute in the classroom space. So similarly with the entrepreneurship kind of route, really like, are you getting the breadth of experience that your classmates will also be getting? Because we have found within the MBA cohort that the more experience you have, the better off, the more you're getting out of the experience, as well as the more you can give back. So that's what I would encourage you to do, kind of look through that, but pursue your goals. I think the biggest thing to take away from MBA early is that if you are not given admission to the MBA early program, it does not mean that we do not want you at MIT Sloan. One of the most exciting things for me as part of the admissions team is that I see so many applicants coming into our MBA program every year that applied for early during their college years and they were not accepted. And it wasn't because they weren't great candidates, it's because we didn't have enough data to support their application at that time. And so what that means is if you do get an unfavorable decision from us, please think about reapplying to MIT Sloan's MBA program after you've gained that professional experience. You'll have a lot more information to pull from, a lot more data and experience.
That's really great. Thank you.
Yeah,
You
thank you.
answered all these application questions today. Thank you so much, Alexa.